Hi guys. Today we're going to get into that first acronym, GCF, or Greatest Common Factor. In our first video, I'll help you figure out how to identify a greatest common factor. And in our second video, we'll be creating a factoring book to start learning the essential idea of this chapter. So let's get started with what is a GCF. Okay. So GCF again stands for Greatest Common Factor. Now, don't let the word greatest fool you. We are not looking for a ginormous number. We're just looking for the biggest number that is a factor of both or sometimes all, maybe we have more than two, of our terms. Okay. So to find the greatest common factor and not just a common factor, we should make a factor tree, which we learned about yesterday, and then find everything that they have in common and multiply those things together. For our first example, we're going to find the greatest common factor between the numbers 80 and 28. So again, I want the largest number that evenly divides into 80 and 28. Let's make our factor tree. I like to always start by dividing by 2. And 80 has quite a few more factors than 28. All right, so for 80, I have 2, 2, 2, 2, 5. And for 28, I have 2, 2, and 7. Let's identify what they have in common. They both have a number 2, and they both have a second number 2. Now, 80 has a third number 2, but 28 does not. 28 has a 7, but 80 does not. And so the only thing that they have in common is 2 number 2s. Since they both have 2 number 2s, we're going to multiply 2 times 2, and we're going to say with really, great confidence that my greatest common factor, the largest number that divides evenly into 80 and 28, is the number 4. 2 is a common factor, but not the greatest. The greatest is 4. Let's try one with variables. So GCF, again, is the biggest number, the largest number that will divide evenly into all of the numbers given to you. And then if you're given variables, you can do the same thing that we did with the prime factorization, where you write out all of the variables and then circle what they have in common. Or there is a shortcut where you just find which variables do they have in common and then use the one with the smallest exponent. For this example, we're going to find the GCF between 32xy squared z and 48x to the third y to the fourth. Now, I've already done the factor tree for you. I'm going to go ahead and just list out the prime factorization for you. So for 32, my prime factorization is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And for 48, it is 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. And so based on these prime factorizations, we can see that they both have in common 4 number 2s. Now that doesn't mean 4 times 2. So make sure that when you're typing this in your calculator, you're doing 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or you can do 2 to the 4th. For our variables, we do have to make sure that they have them in common, so it has to be a variable that they both have, and both of these terms have an x and a y. My first term has a z, but my second term does not, so z will not be showing up in my GCF. If I'm going to choose the smallest exponent, for my x's, I have to choose from x to the first and x to the third. And so the smaller of those two would be the x to the first. You do want to treat each variable independently. For my y's, I have a y squared and a y to the fourth. And so the smaller of those numbers would be a y squared. Now, again, if you wanted to, you could write this out. So you could write out, x from the first one and then 3 x's from the second one and say, okay, they have 1 in common. For the y's, you could write out your 2 y's and then your 4 y's and say, okay, they have these 2 in common. And then for your z's, we have 1 z and we have no z's, so they have nothing in common. So that would be an alternate way to figure out what the greatest common factor is. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. And then we decided to use the x to the first and the y squared. So this is how you find a greatest common factor given two terms. Sometimes there will be three terms, and then we can also have variables in there. Why don't you guys try this one on your own? And I'm going to put on that multiple choice question. So when you're ready, choose the correct answer. All right, guys, I hope you chose the answer of 6x. 18 and 48 are both divisible by 6, and they each have an x in common. That's the end of our first video. For our second video, if you have 3 pieces of colorful paper, that'll be great. If all you have is plain white paper, that's fine too. Go ahead and go grab 3 pieces of paper and a stapler, and I'll see you in a little bit.